So the question that we asked this evening, what we can see very clearly, viewers, is a complete trust deficit when it comes down between the government and the opposition. Total breakdown of government-opposition ties. No trust motion against Dhankhar. Have we reached a point of no return? Targeting the Vice President justified or unwarranted? Parliament meltdown, which we see day after day. And let me once again tell you that every minute that is spent in the Parliament where the House is not run, the likes of you and I, the taxpayers, spend 2.5 lakh rupees per minute. So with what we are seeing, this massive meltdown in Parliament, who is to blame? Is it the government or the opposition? Let's take this debate to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Dr. Syed Nasir Hussain, National Spokesperson, Congress; Shehzad Poonawala, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party; Rajat Sethi, political commentator; Neerja Choudhry, senior journalist and columnist; Ashutosh, political analyst. Neerja, Choudhry, to begin with you, since 1952, Ms. Choudhry, no resolution has been brought under Article 67. Now, since then, it's now been brought against Jagdeep Dhankhar. How grave do you see this as?
Look, this is unprecedented. It's never happened before. We've seen for decades Parliament brought to a stand. A lot of acrimony between the two sides, and yet they would, after that, be able to sit down and find a way out. I've heard Parliamentary Affairs Ministers say, now you've had your say, you've sent the right signal to your constituencies, now let's sit down at the table and find a way out, and they would find a way out. Something was referred to the JPC, or the House started to function again. We've seen that, with the Babri Masjid demolition, with Mandal, with 2G. I've seen Indrajit Gupta as Home Minister, I must tell you, sitting near the Central Hall, really like this with his head in his forehead, so anguished. So we've seen that, but never have I seen so much bitterness, having covered politics for 40 years and more, so much bitterness between the two sides. You're absolutely right, a complete breakdown of communication, forget dialogue. And this is painful for the people of India to see our Parliament in this fashion. Something has to give way. It cannot go on like this. And both sides are to blame. Both sides will have to climb down for the House to function. They owe this to the people of India. They cannot continue like that, to treat the people of India like this. We've elected these people to be there to speak about our problems. They cannot do this to Parliament of India.
Dr. Nasir Hussain and Shehzad, I think those are wise words coming in from Neerja Choudhry. But Dr. Hussain, let me take that question to you. Since 1952, till date, under Article 67, a motion as such hasn't been moved against the chair of the Rajya Sabha. You have done so. You have done so, Dr. Hussain, despite knowing very well that this is going to be symbolic, it's going to be just tokenism, because the numbers in Rajya Sabha doesn't warrant that you even have a chance of an impeachment or a removal, because you stand at 85. Number two, Dr. Hussain, is you don't even have the set number of days to actually get this motion to a pass where it actually comes to a vote. Then why do it?
See, I think, first of all, answering your first sentence, why do it when it has not been done since 1952? We didn't want to do it. We are not happy doing it. We don't want to demean the office of the chairman of Rajya Sabha. But we have been mulling with this idea for the past at least 4 to 5 sessions. We have been, signatures were done in the last session, but still we withheld it because we didn't want it to take it to that level. But when you are not allowed to speak, when the LOPs is shouted down, you give 10 minutes and 15 minutes to the leader of the House and the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, then you switch off the mic of leader of opposition within 30 seconds. Then you call off, you say House is adjourned, and then you move away from the chair within 30 seconds. You don't allow the opposition members to speak. You interrupt so much when the members of Rajya Sabha from the ruling party or from the treasury bunches speak, they are given free time, no interruption, no distraction, nothing. But when a member of the opposition party speaks, every time you take out the videos, you take out the recordings of Rajya Sabha. You get the analysis done. Every time the chair interrupts, every time the chair tries to school the student, school the MPs, whether he is a junior or a senior member. Members of both these sides, whether it is government or the opposition, there are members who have spent 40 years, 50 years in politics, who have been ministers in the state government, who have been MPs for so many times, who have been ministers in the past governments at the center. We give notices for discussion according to the rule of the House. Not even one notice has been accepted. Not even one notice. And see, the chairman has to be impartial. The chairman shouldn't be partisan. The chairman should not become the spokesperson of the ruling party, or he shouldn't become the spokesperson of the government. How can the chair say that the opposition members are doing anti-national activities? How can the chair say that we are supporting the forces which are inimical to the nation? He is speaking against Adani and anti-national act. He is speaking against a corrupt businessman against whom FIRs have been filed in US and anti-national act.
All right, let me bring in, Dr. Hussain, let me bring in your BJP counterpart on this debate. I'll circle back to you,
sir. If you have to use an Hindi
word, I will circle back to you.
Majboor hoke hum logon ne ye kiya.
Okay, majboor hoke ye kiya hai, that's what you're saying. I'll circle back to you. Hold your thought. I want to bring in Shehzad Poonawalla into this conversation. Shehzad Poonawalla, one thing is very clear, and it's evident to all that it's not even going to come to a vote because there is no time. It's 14 days, and that's at least what is needed. So the no confidence motion, no trust will not come to a vote, number one. Even if it does, we know that the opposition doesn't have the numbers in the House. We're putting the numbers out there. But having said that, Shehzad, the third time I'm bringing in the sheer fact, because in parliamentary history, in India's democracy, since 1952, if the opposition has never made a charge such as this on the chair of the Rajya Sabha, then doesn't it somewhere down the line bring disrepute to the chair of the Rajya Sabha, who's incumbent right now?
Preeti, I heard Syed Nasir Hussain ji speak. Not once did I interrupt, and you also did not, to your credit. And you've also asked me a question, and I hope I'll be extended the same amount of time as Mr. Nasir Hussain. And let me begin. You're absolutely right, Preeti, starting by what you said, कि इंडी अलायंस में है तनाव, राहुल गांधी के नेतृत्व पे है दबाव, सोनिया जी का सोरोस और एफडीएल एपी से है जुड़ाव, इसलिए लाए है ये अविश्वास प्रस्ताव. This अविश्वास प्रस्ताव is a बहाना so that सोनिया सोरोस पे भाग जाना है और राहुल गांधी पे जो सवाल लगातार उठा रहे हैं, टीएमसी, समाजवादी पार्टी and other allies, then they don't want to confront that truth. Therefore, this is a diversion tactic because you have rightly pointed out. Now, you said this has happened for the first time. Preeti, you are right. This has happened for the first time, and for the first time, LOP is wearing T-shirt, wearing a mask, wearing bag, and going outside the house and doing a different thing. That has also happened first time in LOP's years. This has also happened first time that you blow a kiss in parliament. This has also happened first time that you wink inside parliament. This has also happened first time that on the stairs of parliament you mock the posture of a person who comes from the Kisan Samaj, who comes from the OBC Samaj, and you mock him. This has also happened for the first time that a minister is being called lady killer. This has also happened for the first time that you blame the ECI and call it kutta. This is also for the first time that Rashtrapati is called Rashtrapatni. This is also first time that when you lose Maharashtra election, you blame CGI. So a lot of first things have been done by Congress party. But let me tell you, when the no confidence motion was brought against the first speaker, because we also have somebody as erudite and somebody has a lot of knowledge on history, both Ashutosh and Nirja actually. At that time, Mr. Nehru, and I quote him, said that this is a nuisance that is being done by bringing this no confidence motion by questioning the bona fides of the chair. Now let me just sum up the last point. The last point that I want to make is that only this, that if today Congress party has nothing to hide, I asked Mr. Nasir Hussain, who's a very senior leader in the Congress, there is only one question, forget the Soros, etc. angle. Sonia Gandhi is co-president of FDL AP, which advocates for separation of Kashmir from India. Is she still the president? Can they answer that question in a yes or a no? They raise certain questions on Shamika Ravi. I am more than happy that Shamika Ravi's so-called links with Soros, which she's anyways clarified on, we can discuss it in Parliament. You say okay for 267 charcha on Soros, and we can have discussion on Shamika Ravi. We can have discussion on whoever you want to link with Soros, and on this. But last point, the another point that Mr. Nasir Hussain said is that the chair is acting in a biased manner. I don't go on hearsay. This is India Today report. Rajiv Shukla walked up to the chair, Mr. Kurian, whispered, adjourn the house, and the house was adjourned. This is bias. This is when the chair acts like a karyakarta, when live proceedings were put down during the Andhra bifurcation bill, and when 10,000 notices of 267 were given between 52 to 2004, and only about 10 or 15 were admitted. This is called bias.
All right, okay. I want to cut across and go to Ashutosh and bring in Rajat Sethi into this conversation, because Ashutosh, it's, in recent Indian democracy, we haven't seen the kind of trust deficit that we see. But we also see now a concerted push by the India Alliance and a growing trend of using constitutional platforms for political battles. Do you see this one such thing?
Preeti, before answering your question, I would like to read out what on 11th June 2024, RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat has said. He says, it is called opposition. It should not be considered an adversary. Their opinion should also come to light. There is dignity in contesting elections. That dignity was not maintained. There is decorum even in contesting election. That decorum was not followed, because it is necessary to follow decorum because the challenges before our country have not ended. These are not my statements. RSS chief is saying that opposition should not be treated like an adversary. Fortunately or unfortunately, today, there is no trust deficit. Forget about trust deficit. There is a total breakdown between the opposition and the government. No trust, absolutely of no trust, and both treat each other as enemies, and both are trying to score points over each other. But since Mr. Dhankhar has taken over as the chairman of the House, I'm sorry to say this with all due respect to the chair, there is a brazen partisanship. And that brazen partisanship is acknowledged by each and everybody who's watching. If he's not blind, watch just the Rajya Sabha proceeding which is going over there. I'm extremely sorry to say this. It really hurts me. Because I've also watched...
Ashutosh, would you come back and answer the question that I asked you as well, and I'll go and bring in Rajat Sethi. Because, it does seem that you're seeing it on various platforms. It's just not here, where the platform is constitutional, but the opposition is fighting a political battle there.
No, the government is also fighting a political battle. Why only blame opposition? See, this is the same opposition. This is the same parliament. This was the same government when Venkaiah Naidu was the vice president, the chairman of the House. There was a difference of opinion. He also belonged to particular ideology.
Well, but that's okay. And that reminds me. Okay, I want to bring in Rajat Sethi, because you speak of Venkaiah Naidu, Rajat Sethi, who actually did belong to the RSS, which strangely, if you look at the history of Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar, hasn't. But to call himself, and because why is it that the opposition today is saying that the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, is being run by politics and not rules, and why there's bipartisan, the way it's been run. The question that I'm asking you, Rajat, is because there are examples, and I'll give you two. Number one, you have the chair which says that I'm an eklavya of the RSS. There's nothing wrong, and no rule suggests that the Rajya Sabha speaker cannot align with an ideology or even be a part of a group, number one. But then when you have the, Rajya Sabha LOP standing, you have Mr. Kharge who's criticizing the RSS, you expunge that speech, number one. Very lately, which I think the opposition has taken offense to, is you entertain 11 requests coming in from the Treasury benches to bring up the alleged Gandhi-Soros link. But every time you have the opposition ask that to bring up the Adani issue on the floor of the Parliament, you adjourn the House. So these are the two examples right now currently which seem to suggest that there's not a neutral umpire in that chair.
So, Preeti ji, we have seen the great Hamid Ansari occupy the chair of the vice president of our country and also the chairman of Rajya Sabha. And his partisan attitude is an open book. We all have grown up, debating and, quarreling with our colleagues in our colleges, debating how partisan can a vice president be. We all know how he used Rajya Sabha television to basically outsource journalism to certain left liberal journalists of his choice, paying 30 lakhs plus annually to these people just to appear on Rajya Sabha television. So we've seen all kinds of people. Essentially, vice president position remains a political appointee. There will be a political character to it as well. And largely, BJP has been in the opposition, and they never stoop to a level where you start attacking constitutional posts like this. Here, the opposition, which is largely Congress party, seems restless. They are in a supposed hurry wherein they want to prove a point. I don't know what point they are looking to prove, but certainly they are in a hurry. Another thing that I wanted to point out here is, if you have certain issues, you can say that this person is partisan. The same you go on and attack the Chief Justice of India. The day he was demitting office, a week prior to that, every single opposition leader was going out and attacking the Chief Justice of India, of all people. So my point is that one constitutional chair after the other, Election Commission remains a constitutional body. There is a habit, there is a charitra, that if you are not getting your way, you go out and attack all of these positions, constitutional positions, which so far, even the opposition, when BJP was in the opposition, they steered away from attacking them. Things were not falling their place at all these years and decades. They still patiently kept working. That's how the opposition has to show, because see, ultimately they are setting up an example and public is watching. How would they want to come up and position themselves as a more hard-working organization which is going to work for the people's interests instead of bypassing all democratic processes?
Okay. All right. Okay. Dr. Hussain, but Rajat, you are right that it's a political appointee, but at least, maybe not in the recent history, but we've seen the role of the speaker somewhere down the line as being neutral. We've had the prime example of Mr. Somnath Banerjee, where his own party got upset with him for being way too neutral. And Neerja Choudhry, I'm sure, your memory and your experience is far richer than most of us here. Do you see that there is a partisan, attempt by the chair? And rightly pointed out with what Rajat Sethi has, said, it's happened in the past, even when the UPA was in power. And now what we're seeing is maybe a continuation of that, but it wasn't so earlier.
Well, in the past also, there have been examples. It's not to say that this didn't happen in the past. But yes, the chair of the Rajya Sabha could have been more even-handed with the opposition than he has been. He's a very senior person. He's a skillful lawyer and experienced, an old hand really. He's been around since the days of Mr. Devilal and Vishwanath Pratap Singh. And I would say if the opposition, suppose the opposition is all wrong, whatever they are saying, and very unfair. If so many MPs of the opposition feel so strongly and strongly enough to bring an impeachment motion, that's not a light thing to do. That's a very serious business. This has never been done before. If they feel so strongly, Mr. Dhankhar can just sit across the table with them. What is it that you feel? Where have things gone wrong? How do we set it right? And even today, everything, whether it's Adani, whether it's Soros, whether it's Sambal, whatever the issues, every single issue should be discussed on the floor of the House, not in TV channels, because that is the role the party is supposed to play. And I think, I don't know what's going to give way at this stage, because the blame game just continues. Hum aapko thokenge aur hum aapko thokenge. And I think the time may have come when the Prime Minister may need to take the initiative, call Mr. Kharge, call some other opposition leaders, defuse the situation, find a way out.
Because to decompress, time now to decompress, because you've practically reached the point of no return. Dr. Hussain, I know you want to come in, but I just want to bring in Shehzad, and I'll come right back to you after that. Shehzad, yes, they don't have the numbers, but there are 85 MPs. You talk of that these are diversionary tactics to draw attention away from what your party alleges is the Gandhi-Soros link. But then there are political parties in these 85 MPs who haven't supported Congress on, either the Adani issue, who haven't commented against the BJP where the George Soros or the Gandhi issue comes into question. The TMC is a prime example of that. The Samajwadi Party is a prime example of that. So to allege a foreign hand in everything, can be construed a bit comical here, Shehzad.
Since you are quoting TMC, then let me quote to you, because you have given example of Somnath Chatterjee, incidentally, whom you are considering as a very unbiased speaker at that time, and no doubt he was a great man. At that time, Mamata Banerjee of the TMC threw papers at him, calling him very, very biased. So the irony of the situation is that the person you are considering as unbiased was not considered to be unbiased by... No, left had expelled him. TMC threw papers at him. Okay. If you remember, that time Mamata Banerjee wanted Rohingyas out, and now she has done a U-turn, but she had thrown papers at him. You can go and check it. Neerja and Ashutosh will tell you. Ashutosh has rightly quoted RSS chief. RSS chief has been rightly quoted by Ashutosh, and therefore Ashutosh would be the first one to tell you that at one point LOP was such a position where Mr. Narasimha Rao had confidence, and he would tell Vajpayee, Bharat ka case United Nations mein ladna hai, and Vajpayee would not say that I will stand with Pakistan. He would go and fight India's case and win the case for India. And today when we try to take the leaders in confidence in LOP goes and stands with Ilhan Omar. Today we are asking just one simple question. I have not even said Soros. I am saying that FDL AP, is Madam Sonia Gandhi a member of this, or is the president of this FDL AP co-president even now? I have no answer from somebody as senior as Nasir Hussain. And Nasir Hussain is not ordinary MP. He works very closely with Mr. Khadge. I have very much lot of respect for him. But he has not been able to answer categorically. Now leave that point. I want to come to the last point that Ashutosh and Neerja ji were alluding to, that biasness of the umpire. Preeti ji, CJI is also biased for them. Mr. Sanjay Raut said that CJI has made them lose Maharashtra election. Election Commission is kutta for Nana Patole, ma'am. I am sorry to use this word on your show, but they have called that word. Today also the Election Commission has given proof of 1440 VVPATs. Even then, after 40 cases in Supreme Court, they say nahi, EVM gadbad tha. And when the election result in Wayanad is in their favor, EVM is good. So which empire are they convinced with? And finally, last point, I promise you it's the last point, that look, if the Adani issue is such a big issue on which they are stalling the parliament, and that is reasonable and justified, Shamik Bhattacharya, who's a TMC MP, says that Congress is harming decorum of democracy. You forget convincing me, forget convincing India today. Congress must convince TMC that what they are doing is for democracy, not against democracy.
Okay. Well, but the TMC stands with this, Shehzad. I'll bring in Dr. Hussain. But, Shehzad, 2 points which at least the entire opposition stands firm on. And those 2 indications are right there. Number one, that you have, nothing wrong in expressing your ideology to a particular outfit. In this case, you had the chair say he was an eklavya of the RSS. But then to expunge the Mr. Khadge's speech where he criticizes the RSS. Isn't that bipartisan? Isn't that partiality?
Can I just address?
Yes, please.
Can I address that one point in 20 seconds?
20 seconds, sir, make your point.
Like rightly said by Rajat ji, that yes, Rajat ji has rightly said that chairperson of Rajya Sabha or the vice president of India or the speaker of the house are usually political appointees. They belong to political parties more or less. So they have a political and ideological affiliation. But if the Congress is so pious on this issue, this particular issue, Baharul Islam was a MP made to a judge. Then he came back and became MP. And then he became judge in the Supreme Court. That Congress is preaching about independence of institutions.
But Shehzad, that's the beauty, and Dr. Hussain, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, because that's the beauty of politics. Whataboutry is the best crutch of all, and that cuts across party lines. But Mr. Hussain, the charge leveled by Shehzad Poonawalla and echoed by the Parliament today as well with Mr. Rijiju, that all of this is just a ploy. You just want to divert attention from what the BJP and the government is pushing you on, is answer pertinent question on the alleged Gandhi link to George Soros.
Yeah, first of all, you give 3 interventions to Shehzad Poonawalla, and then Shehzad Poonawalla says that I'm not able to answer a question. Only I can answer a question when I'm given it time. When I'm given time.
Sir, you're giving ample time, sir. All yours.
See, point number 1. Where is please. Where is George Soros thing coming from? Because we started attacking Adani. What are we asking for? We are asking for a discussion. Through what? Through a rule, through an established rule of Lok Sabha and an established rule of Rajya Sabha. So if George Soros is linked to Adani and we are asking for an discussion on Adani, Why don't you have a discussion? Let there be clear discussion on Adani, on George Soros, and whomever you want. If you think George Soros is doing anti-India activities, and if he is involved in funding so many organizations, including some of the BJP MPs, then let him be expelled from the country. Let his funding be stopped. Let cases be booked against George Soros. Let there be an investigation of George Soros activities in the country. Who is stopping you from that? This is your administration, your government is there. Please book a case against him and have an investigation. We are saying let us have a discussion in both the houses on this entire issue of Adani. Let there be discussion on Adani, George Soros, whomever what. Why are you running away from discussion? After the first week of stalling the parliament, we said that we will allow the parliament to function. But at the same time we said, please try and see that there is discussion on this. They didn't accept that. Then we said, whatever agitation, protest, whatever we want to do, we'll do it outside the parliament. We allowed the parliament to run. It was the treasury benches who was stalling the parliament for the last 10 days, not allowing the parliament to work. And I told you, as I mentioned you earlier, this moving of this no confidence motion against the chairman of Rajya Sabha is not new for us. We have been mulling with this idea for the past 4-5 sessions. But we every time we stopped at one point and they said, no, we'll give him another chance. We said, no, we'll not take it to that level. We said, no, let us try and see that this is not done because it has not been done since 52. But we had almost signed 70 signatures in last session. We didn't submit it because we thought, chalo, we'll try and see that it works. But then when a leader like Mallikarjun Kharge, who is the leader of opposition, who has more than 54 years of his experience in electoral politics and parliamentary democracy, one of the biggest Dalit leader of the country today, son of a Dalit, if he is being humiliated every day in the parliament, don't you think we have to reach out? We have to take this step? Don't you think when every senior member of opposition is being schooled,
but Dr.
when he is
Hussain,
being shouted down, when he is being asked to sit, when his mic is being put off, don't you think we have to take this to this level?
Dr. Hussain, you do note that today you run the risk of being charged with trying to politicize constitutional post in the country, which hasn't happened since 1952.
Let me get in there. See, nobody is Bhagwan in this country. No position is above constitution. Every constitutional position will have to abide by the constitution, abide by the democratic norms in the country. Democracy is of paramount importance. Democratic culture is of paramount importance. Parliamentary practices are of paramount importance. More than everything, the constitution is something which we uphold in this country, is the most important thing in this country through which we run our country. Nobody is above that. If somebody is being partisan, somebody is not doing justice to the chair he or she occupies, then we have a right to criticize. We have a right to criticize.
All right,
we have a right to go against it.
You know, taking off from what Dr. Nasir Hussain says, does the motion somewhere down the line risk eroding the perception that is attached to constitutional posts? Or do you think it's going to fall flat because they don't have the numbers?
No, it's not about falling flat or them trying to achieve something. It's just that, people and citizens of this country are getting more and more numb around these things. You use your Brahmastra only for certain really, really important events so that the sanctity of those Brahmastra are intact. Here, I don't even understand what the trigger was. Why did the entire opposition got triggered? You cannot say, no, it was a build-up slowly, etc. because there are ample avenues. Most of these members of parliament are actually friends. When they come out, they leave partisan lines, they go to parties together, evening dinners together and all of that. And there is a camaraderie between all of those members of parliament. This is why I'm saying you do not come out pulling out your Brahmastra at every drop of a hat. I mean, if you were to say that he was schooling, look at the kind of theatrics we saw outside the parliament. There was this member of parliament from TMC who was imitating and was trying to insult the vice president of our country. And then you see, two more members of parliament who were doing a skit outside. I mean, isn't this juvenile? We, the public, are open to at least decipher that these people are worse than kids. If they are trying to do some kind of a theatric drama out there to make a point when they can't even sensibly position their their point of view to the common man.
To use your Brahmastra when you most know that it will have maximum impact, but to do it now when you know you don't have the numbers, you don't have the prerequisite time of 14 days where it even comes to a vote, do you think it will have any implications at all?
See, this Brahmastra has been used once in last 72 years. So this is sparingly being used. One of the rarest case, only then it has been used. And this has been building up for a very, very long time. I just want to remind you and your panel, the other panelists, on 17 June 2021, when he's the governor of Bengal, what did Mamata Banerjee say? She said, I have written Prime Minister thrice to withdraw governor. A sitting chief minister has written to the prime minister that this is the conduct of the governor and please withdraw him, not once, not twice, but thrice. Then on 31st January 2022, the chief minister has blocked the governor. So why Mr. Dhankhar has been so much in controversy when he was a governor and now as a chair? There has to be some reason behind it. And that's why I again go back to what Mohan Bhagwat has said as an RSS chief, whom he was trying to tell to mend ways. Was he telling to the opposition? No. He was trying to tell to the treasury, to the government of the day, that please don't treat opposition as an adversary. They have equal stake in the democracy. If opposition is treated like contempt, the way
I'm taking closing comments, 30 seconds each. Please let's stick to the time frame.
I've never seen something like this ever.
Okay. Nirja Choudhry, to bring you in, because, every session that we see Parliament fall to a new low. This is possibly the worst that we've seen since 1952. What's the way out? Do you think the only way out now is the Prime Minister to intervene? Because he's speaking on Saturday on the Constitution. Yes. Go ahead. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Sorry. Am I on mute? No, I think, is it all right?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. The unfortunate thing about this standoff is that the people who actually help mediate between the two sides when there is a impasse and a standoff, the ruling side and the opposition, are the ones who are in the firing line today, who become part of contention. The chair has become contentious. And I think there is still a way. I hope, wiser councils will play. I agree with you. Brahmastra, yes, it should be used in the rarest of rare cases.
Okay.
And there was a way for them sitting across the table and sorting this out. What is it the opposition feels so strongly about? They feel very strongly that the chair has been partisan. Please hear them. Why they feel that way.
Okay.
And I think for things to give way, the Prime Minister, obviously, who else is going to intervene at this stage?
All right. So the Prime Minister needs to step in. Is he going to escalate the tempo when he speaks in Parliament on Saturday, or will he tone down? Will he, be the one who maybe apply the balm on tensions which are right now, far, far beyond control? But Shehzad, I know you've been wanting to make an intervention. Go ahead. 30 seconds. Closing remark, Shehzad.
I actually disagree with Rajat and Nirja ji. It has not become Brahmastra. It has become a constitutional AK-47. They have bought this impeachment thing against CJI Deepak Mishra. They have bought this impeachment thing against or removal procedure against Deputy Chairman Harivansh ji. अरे भाई आप AK-47 लेकर you will hold it on the gun, you will hold the gun on the head of Parliament. And secondly, those who are convinced that Adani is corrupt. Now I ask Mr. Nasir Hussain very categorically, if you are convinced he is corrupt, then why do you have double standards? You wear a t-shirt and come to Parliament, no problem. You wear a t-shirt. When KTR goes wearing a t-shirt, you stop him from Telangana Assembly. Why? Why you are not cancelling the project in Telangana? Why you are not cancelling project in Kerala? Why you are not cancelling project in Jharkhand? You cancel, walk the talk. No, you don't want to do that because this is not the real issue. And even SP and TMC is saying this is not the real issue.
Okay.
The issue is Sonia Gandhi's link with FDL-AP, on which Nasir Hussain has not uttered a word.
All right, okay. 30 seconds, Nasir Hussain. Come in.
See, I'm answering the specific and focused question: why impeachment motion, or why motion of no confidence against the chairman of Rajya Sabha. I would ask your channel to do an analysis of past 5-6 vice presidents of India and how they have run the houses, and you will get the answer. 1. 2, somebody was speaking that we have used the Brahmastra. This is not Brahmastra for us. As I mentioned earlier, all of a sudden we have not come out with this idea. We were mulling with this idea for the past 4-5 sessions. By now you must have understood why you are so much aggrieved with this chairperson. 3, it is not just within the house, outside the house also, the way he attacks the opposition parties and opposition leaders from public forums. This is something which no vice president has done in this country so far. So I think his partisan attitude, the way he has humiliated the leader of opposition and the other leaders of opposition, the way he has conducted the business in the house is something with which the entire opposition is irked, united, and we have to take this step.
But Mr. Hussain, as I cut across to the others, just 10 seconds, sir, because this needs to be addressed. You don't have the numbers. You're not going to get an impeachment. So what next? How are you going to escalate this?
Ma'am, why are you worried about the numbers being there or not? Let there be a debate, let the voting happen, and you'll get to know.
But sir, will the voting happen? Because you need 14 days for it to be put to a vote.
One line.
See, they should, I think the government shouldn't get into the technical aspects of this. The government should understand the spirit of the motion that has been been submitted, and they should allow a debate or a discussion on this matter, and there should be a voting.
The gravity of the issue is far larger, you're saying, than the prerequisite time frame. One line, Shehzad, go ahead, make that line, and then 20 seconds each.
One line.
One line,
because Mr. Nasir Hussain invoked actions of chair outside the house. What about LOP and members of parliament standing on steps of house and mocking posture of an OBC Jat Samaj vice president? What about that? You made fun of his posture.
All right, one line is over. Let's 30 seconds.
Rajat Sethi, 30 seconds. All MPs have a right to protest.
Okay, 30 seconds, Rajat Sethi.
Please check up with all your...
Rajat, can I just get Rajat Sethi? Rajat Sethi, 20 seconds now. Go ahead, make your point.
Okay. So I think, the opposition should not bring the frustration of their electoral losses onto the floor. They should take a chill pill on this. If there is a genuine sort of, a very gross sort of failure on part of the VP, only then do such steps. Otherwise, it doesn't look good, doesn't behave good, doesn't behave a mature
20 seconds,
opposition.
sir. Closing comments.
Preeti, I do not agree with you when you say that why politicize constitutional posts, because this move is a constitutional, and that's why Article 67B is invoked, because there must have been apprehension in the minds of the constitution maker. There might be some person who would not be suited to the chair, and there should be a provision to remove him.
All right. Okay, I have to close the debate. I appreciate all four gentlemen and Ms. Choudhry for joining us. Thank you there. Unfortunately, it's going to be a debate that we're going to have in days to come, because that's what the parliament is fixated on. So let's see how that pans out.